Hi, it's Ileana here, and today I am going to be discussing what I remember about the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate, about being on the Mars bases, in the ICC, various functions and corporations, and basically how they're structured. What is the ICC and how it's structured? What do I remember from my memory event recall? Now, this was a question that was asked of me by a researcher, and I sent my documentation to them, what I remembered. So I'm just going to cover question number 3 because other folks have emailed me and asked me, well, what are the shareholder companies for the ICC on Earth? And what other contractors, are working maybe in conjunction with the ICC. So I remember a huge list of various contractors and shareholders that have ties with the ICC, that have connections. Now, some of these contractors are aware of the affiliations to the ICC, and some of them are not, because all of these projects are divided in various sections and areas, and it is all compartmentalized. I have a hard time saying that word. So it's in all different compartments, compartmentalization. Some of the contractors know what they're doing and who they're working for, and some don't. Same thing with the company shareholders and stakeholders. They might not have any idea that there's an affiliation to the ICC. They just do the contract work that they're sourced out to do, or manufacturing of some sort. And, they get paid their money, and the ICC receives what they paid for to the contractors and shareholder companies. But some of the companies are very much aware what they're doing and who they're working for. I just wanted to make that disclaimer that not all of them are aware what's truly going on. They're just working on their separate pieces of whatever project they're assigned, and they don't ask too many questions. They just do the work, get paid for it, and the results goes to the ICC. So question number 3 was, you described your work with the ICC basis on Mars. Can you recall how the ICC was structured, what companies were involved, were any of the companies German, etc.? And my answer is as follows. The ICC on Mars was structured in having 11 bases that I can recall working on. These bases had major manufacturing plants, laboratories, R&D weapons facilities. The laboratories are mainly cybernetic labs fusing human body parts with advanced technology, creating technologically augmented humans. There are soul transfer devices in the labs that can take one soul consciousness from a physical body and transfer it into the cyborg body. The manufacturing plants develop plasma weapons and build components for weapons and data orbital platform stations. The ICC has 4 Mars orbital space station platforms around Mars planetary orbit. These space stations monitor all outgoing and incoming communications between ICC installations on Mars, Moon, and the Earth, as well as various ships that come from Earth to Mars. These orbital space station platforms have large warp drive type engines, so the stations can be maneuvered into different parts of space or around planets. As well, there are cloaking shields that are emitted from the antenna arrays on the stations. The ICC Mars orbital space station platforms have circular ring habitats, which are living areas. There are communications arrays, which are further away from the living quarters and decks, and the habitable areas are separated from each other by the rings at distances, as well as to have the shielding between the engines at the back of the orbital platforms. These ICC space station platforms model builds were based on the original specification design schematics of Wernher Von Braun space station concepts from the 1950s, when he worked for NASA and designed space station proposal concepts. And here's an example image of the ICC Mars Orbital Space Station platform that I was describing above. It has these habitat rings in the middle and circulating. These are the communication antenna arrays. These are where the warp drive engines are in the back of the space station orbital platform. So this is not habitable. It's not living areas. It's mainly the engines, because they have huge engines. Because these space orbital platforms can be moved around. So they could be stationed around a planet, or they could be in between planets, in space, basically. So they could be traveling between planets, short distances, and then orbit the planet. So they can be in space lane traffic, but these things are huge, so it takes time to move them. And they do have shielding, so they are not noticeable by satellites. They are shielded from being noticed from Earth satellites and radar. Quite convenient. And this is an example image of one of Wernher Von Braun's space station platform concepts. So it's circular. It also has antennae here for communications. So this was designed to be all habitational platform, and the engines are here. I would imagine in this area, this would be engineering. And it says Von Braun's Space Station 1952, illustrated by Chelsea Bonistel. So she actually did a lot of Von Braun's illustrations for these space station concepts, and it ended up being in a magazine as well, featured in 4 parts in a magazine during the 1950s, so it was quite popular. And this is one of the original designs that Von Braun drew himself, with his different rockets circling around the space station, and then it was refined in this image after he created a better design. And these are examples of MIC SSP space station platforms, the lower MIC SSP groups. They have their own orbital space station platforms based on Von Braun's concept designs that he did in the 1950s when he worked for NASA. And Von Braun was a brilliant man. He knew what he was doing when he created these space station designs. The ICC and the military-industrial complex just took his work and used it to build out their own space stations for their own purposes out in space. So this is another orbital space station platform, and you see it has huge engines in the back. This is engineering in between, and it has these circular modules attached to it. And some of it is living habitat. This is, it's probably not livable habitat zone, but I could be wrong. It's probably labs or something here in this area. But they're quite big, they're huge, and they're interesting technology. So I actually did some research on various projects that Von Braun worked in his space designs of the orbital space station platforms, and he actually planned a Mars mission project and other contractors worked on other missions, Mars orbital missions. So I'm just going to read this because this is interesting background information, what went down, and there's more that happened behind the scenes. The Mars missions did happen with the ICC, but they were more complicated and they were just more built out. But it started with Von Braun. So here goes. Wernher Von Braun proposal for Mars mission 1947 through 1950s. So that's the time span that he worked on this project idea. Wernher Von Braun was the first person to make a detailed technical study of a Mars mission. Details were published in his book, Das Mars Projekt, 1952, published in English as the Mars Project in 1962, and several subsequent works featured in Collier's magazine in a series of articles beginning March 1952. Now that's the magazine that I mentioned earlier. It was Collier's. A variant of the Von Braun mission concept was popularized in English by Willy Ley in the book The Conquest of Space, 1949, featuring illustrations by Chelsea Bonestell. Von Braun's Mars project envisioned nearly 1,000 three-stage vehicles launching from Earth to ferry parts for the Mars mission to be constructed at a space station in Earth orbit. The mission itself featured a fleet of 10 spacecraft with a combined crew of 70 heading to Mars, bringing 3 winged surface excursion ships that would land horizontally on the surface of Mars. Winged landing was considered possible because at the time of his proposal, the Martian atmosphere was believed to be much denser than was later found to be the case. In the 1956 revised vision of the Mars Project plan, published in the book The Exploration of Mars by Wernher Von Braun and Willy Ley, the size of the mission was trimmed, requiring only 400 launches to put together 2 ships still carrying a winged landing vehicle. Later versions of the mission proposal featured in the Disney Man in Space film series showed nuclear-powered ion propulsion vehicles for the interplanetary cruise. So that was Von Braun's work, and it was very popularized. Finally said the word correctly. And after that, there were other types of proposals done for Mars missions. It was U.S. proposals for Mars missions 1950s, 1960s, and 1970s. So, Apollo-era interplanetary spacecraft design. In 1962, Aeronautic Ford, General Dynamics, and the Lockheed Missiles and Space Company made studies of Mars mission designs as part of NASA Marshall Space Flight Center Project Empire. These studies indicated that a Mars mission, possibly including a Venus flyby, could be done with a launch of 8 Saturn V boosters and assembly in low Earth orbit, or possibly with a single launch of a hypothetical post-Saturn heavy lift vehicle. Although the Empire missions were only studies and never proposed as funded projects, these were the first detailed analysis of what it would take to accomplish a human voyage to Mars using data from actual NASA spaceflight, and laid much of the basis for future studies, including significant mission studies by TRW, North American, Philco, Lockheed Martin, Douglas, and General Dynamics, along with several in-house NASA studies. Following the success of the Apollo program, Von Braun advocated a manned mission to Mars as a focus for NASA's manned space program. Von Braun's proposal used Saturn V boosters to launch nuclear-powered NERVA upper stages that would power 2-6 crew spacecraft on a dual mission in the early 1980s. The proposal was considered by then President Richard Nixon, but passed over in favor of the space shuttle. In 1975, Von Braun discussed the mission architecture that emerged from these Apollo-era studies in a recorded lecture, and while doing so suggested that multiple shuttle launches could instead be configured to lift the two nuclear thermal rocket engine equipped spacecrafts in smaller parts for assembly in orbit. And the sources for this information is wikipedia.org, Human Mission to Mars. And here I say, note, I have downloaded original book PDF copy of the 1962 The Mars Project and the copies of Collier's magazine volumes featuring Von Braun's space station concepts and Mars mission proposals. Can send upon request. So I actually downloaded all the material that I was investigating and skimmed through it just to make sure that what Wikipedia was writing was actually factual. So I double-checked my fact sources because I fully believe in proper research in what I'm claiming. So I actually went to the original sources of the Mars Project book and Collier's magazine. I actually downloaded all that stuff, and it's a lot of reading, and I've looked through it and skimmed just to make sure that the Wikipedia descriptions of all those details above were correct, and it was. And then I just go on to describe my experiences with the ICC Mars bases. On the ICC Mars bases and orbital station platforms, the personnel assets are divided into working teams based on job profiles, IQ, intelligence, and abilities to accurately and precisely complete assigned job tasks. This is based on different clearance levels from 1 to 52 in terms of having access to what are restricted areas and non-restricted areas on bases or stations. When I was working on collating data in one of the information data centers on an ICC Mars Base 5, I slept in a large room that had 12 bunks with 11 other people sharing the room, co-ed living quarters with a small meeting area with 2 tables and chairs and 2 shared bathrooms. During the time I was on the ICC Mars bases, I spoke English and Spanish. The Neuralink implants act as translator devices in the brain to translate various Earth languages into the asset's native speaking language. My descriptions of what the Mars bases were like inside where I had worked. So this is on my website, actually, a link to that PDF document. And then I go into also map locations of ICC Mars bases, moon bases, and Earth facilities video where I was stationed as an asset. So I provide that YouTube link as well. And I say here on page 25, I discussed the ICC Mars Orbital Platform Station, which is featured in this document above as well. Also verbal descriptions of SSB space platform stations in my vlog, and I give the YouTube link to that. So I'm basically citing my sources of where I've talked about this information before. All of this that I've briefly stated here. And then I go to talk about the company structures, the shareholders and the contractors and subcontractors of the ICC. The main companies involved in building out the infrastructures on the ICC Mars basis were TRW, North American, Pilco, Lockheed Martin, Douglas, General Dynamics, Northrop Grumman Space Technology, NASA GPL, Planetary Resources, Boeing, Astro und Fenwerkchenik, Aldershot GmbH, ASD Advanced Space Technologies, GmbH, Jena Optronic, etc. It is a mixture of US and German companies. These are the aerospace contractors that contributed to the various military bids to build out bases, as well as the orbital space platforms near Mars. The Interplanetary corporate conglomerate consists of various space contracting companies providing services to Mars bases. Some of these contractors are fully briefed on what exactly the work is that they do, and other smaller contractors are on a need-to-know basis, doing the work but not told where the manufactured parts go in space or to whom. There are permanent shareholder companies which contribute financial and technical support to the various ICC committees and councils. I have provided a listing of contractors and shareholder companies that are mid-level contributors in the ICC. Please refer to this listing below. And I start with aerospace and providers of third-party contractor services. The first one was IIRC McDonnell Douglas Aeronautics, based in Huntington Beach, California facility, had a contract to work with Jesko Wan Putkemmer's office at NASA OSF. This was a 1976 contract to build real-world concept prototype for hydrosonic showers. Actual implementation of the hydrosonic showers was implemented in 1980s as completion dates for installing hydrosonic showers on ICC Mars bases. Officially, it was said that this project had the prototypes finished, but because of complexity of project and funding cuts, they could not move beyond prototype stages, although the MDA engineers successfully tested the hydrosonic showers and there was no harm or injury done to the testers. Project outcomes were to minimize the amount of liquid water storage that is required for long-duration manned space missions. The hydrosonic shower mechanism employed steam jets and high-frequency, ultrasonic, low-amplitude acoustic generators to bathe the user in a thin film of water condensate, which would then be vibrated, thus initiating the cleansing function. A few drops of liquid soap was all that was required to dissolve whatever sweat and dirt had accumulated since the last shower. This information about the hydrosonic showers had been published originally in the AIAA Space Manufacturing volumes, which had been edited by Jerry Gray. Notes: I do not have access to that copy. Had gone by memory recall of the hydrosonic showers installed on Mars bases. Also, they have sonic sinks and smart toilets in the bathrooms. No toilet paper used, and water conservation in place to recycle water used, as water is at a premium on Mars. Presentation is at, and this is just the link to my PDF about this stuff. And then I just go on to talk about other companies that are contractors. Stanek Tool, United States, does custom work holding fixtures, custom mold solutions, and precision machining for aerospace, automotive, construction, and other industries. Includes custom projects and prototypes for Navy, Department of Energy, national laboratories, U.S. government, energy technology, construction and mining, etc. Now we go to the propulsion manufacturers. Ad Astra Rocket Company, United States, engine Bessemer, engine type, magnetoplasma may be used for future Mars missions. Rocket propulsion company dedicated to the development of advanced plasma rocket propulsion technology. The company has been working on Chang Diaz's concept of the variable specific impulse magnetoplasma rocket, known by its acronym VASMIR. The VASMIR is intended to achieve several advantages over current chemical rocket designs, including lunar cargo transport, in-space refueling, and ultra-high speeds for distant space missions. AE Aerospace United States, engine HIRE, 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 hybrid ion rocket engine. Luftwaffe Aeronautics, German, Advanced Flight Propulsion Systems and Space Station Design. Then we go to spacecraft component manufacturers. Astro- und Fernwerktechnik, Aldershof GmbH, German. Design, manufacturing, assembly, integration, and verification of small satellite buses. TET-1, launched July 2012, and components. Attitude control components, reaction wheels, gyro systems, GPS receiver, magnetometer. Supplier of space systems and ISS payload night pod. Astro Aerospace, United States. Deployable mechanisms, spacecraft structures, Astro Mesh, deployable reflector, deployable booms, large and small aperture mesh reflector antennas, STEM, storable tubular extendable member, hinge mechanisms, a special business unit of Northrop Grumman. AST Advanced Space Technologies GmbH, German, design, manufacturing, and assembly of fluid control components for electric propulsion and special equipment for space simulators. Supplier of cold gas thrusters, flow control units, electronic pressure regulators, valves, particle filters, electric propulsion test equipment, and thrust balances. GSI GmbH, German. Cryptography units, example, SAR loop, Gokturk, payload data handling units, example, EN map, ExoMars, onboard computers, example, TET, JAXA, Hayabusa, second, Mascot, data processing units, communication systems, ground test and simulation equipment. Gen Optronic, German. Attitude and Orbit Control Systems, AOCS, sensors, star sensors, sun sensors, radius and docking sensors, optical space instruments and components, multispectral imager, example, the JSS-56 for rapid eye satellite constellation efficient radiometer, example, MET image electronic, as well as optomechanical subsystems and components for operational Earth observation, example, for Copernicus Sentinel missions. Thortec Laboratories Inc., United States, a research and development company, does business in the fields of engineering, accounting, research, management, and related services. Launch vehicle manufacturers and providers of third-party services. Cosmos International, Russia, German, commercializes the Cosmos 3M launcher. Satellite manufacturers. Gauss, GAUSS Italy, CubeSats and small satellite, 50 kilograms. Gomspace, Denmark, CubeSats and nanosatellites, less than 10 kilograms. Innovative Solutions in Space, Netherlands, CubeSats. INVAP, Argentina, number of satellites launched, 6. The SACA, SACB, SACC, SACD, RSAT-1, RSAT-2, RSAT-1 and RSAT-2 are geosynchronous satellite platforms. INVAP is developing new satellites. RSAT-3, SAOCOM, SAC-E 2015. The company delivers projects for nuclear, aerospace, chemical, medical, petroleum, and governmental sectors. Nano Avionics, Lithuania, CubeSats and small sats. SpaceQuest Ltd. United States, microsatellites and components. Northrop Grumman Space Technology, United States. aerospace and a defense technology company that was formed by Northrop's 1994 purchase of Grumman. The company was named as the 5th largest defense contractor in the world in 2015. Then I go on to the lander, rover, and probe manufacturers asteroid mining. Urban Solutions Incorporated, United States, German, research and development into deep space travel and space mining operations. Planetary Resources, United States. Arcade 100 for asteroid searching and expanding Earth's natural resource base by developing and deploying the technologies for asteroid mining. Then I go on to the major shareholder companies in the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate. Allianz SE is a German financial services company headquartered in Munich, Germany. Its core businesses are insurance and asset management. As of 2014, it is the world's largest insurance company, the largest financial services group, and the largest company according to a composite measure by Forbes magazine, as well as the largest financial services company when measured by 2013 revenue. The company is a component of the Eurostoxx 50 stock market index. Its Alliance Global Investors division ranks as a top 5 global active investment manager, having 1,933 billion of assets under management, AUM, of which 1,408 are third-party assets as of 2015, with specialized asset managers including PIMCO bonds, PIMCO bonds, RCM equities, and Digi real estate. AmerisourceBergen. AmerisourceBergen Corporation is an American drug wholesale company that was formed by the merger of Bergen, Brunswick, and Amerisource in 2001. They provide drug distribution and related services designed to reduce costs and improve patient outcomes, distribute a line of brand name and generic pharmaceuticals, over-the-counter OTC, healthcare products, and home healthcare supplies and equipment to a wide variety of healthcare providers located throughout the United States, including acute care hospitals and health systems, independent and chain retail pharmacies, mail order facilities, physicians, clinics, and other alternate site facilities, as well as skilled nursing and assisted living centers. They also provide pharmaceuticals and pharmacy services to long-term care, workers' compensation, and specialty drug patients. AmerisourceBergen is a market leader in pharmaceutical distribution, handling about 20% of all of the pharmaceuticals sold and distributed throughout the country, and ranked 16th on the Fortune 500 list for 2015, with over $100 billion in annual revenue. Now this pharmaceutical corporation is very interesting. It's been around a long time, and it's been merged from another company. Makes a lot of money. Ironically, Corey Good worked for this company at one point as an IT tech, and it says that on his LinkedIn resume and credentials, IT credentials. And he has 2 recommendations of good work ethic from this company. So that's on file in his LinkedIn resume. And this AmerisourceBergen is an ICC shareholder corporation, and it's big. Don't know whether Corey Good was aware of this or not, that it's an ICC shareholder company, but it's just an interesting a link. It's just an interesting bit of information linked to that company. Aviva PLC is a British multinational insurance company headquartered in London, United Kingdom. It has around 33 million customers across 16 countries. In the UK, Aviva is the largest general insurer and a leading life and pensions provider. In addition, Aviva has a focus on 5 markets in Europe and in Asia. The company is focused on the growth markets of China and Southeast Asia. Aviva is also the second largest general insurer in Canada. Aviva has a primary listing on the London Stock Exchange and is a constituent of the FTSE 100 index. It has a secondary listing on the New York Stock Exchange. Bayer AG is a German multinational chemical, pharmaceutical, and life sciences company. It is headquartered in Leverkusen, where its illuminated sign is a landmark. Bayer's primary areas of business include human and veterinary pharmaceuticals, consumer healthcare products, agricultural chemicals, and biotechnology products and high-value polymers. The company is a component of the Euro Stoxx 50 stock market index. The company's motto is Science for a Better Life. Bayer's first and best-known product was aspirin. There is a dispute about what scientists at Bayer made the most important contributions to it: Arthur Echensgrun or Felix Hoffmann. Bayer trademarked the name heroin for the drug acetaminophen and marketed as a cough suppressant and non-addictive substitute for morphine from 1898 to 1910. Bayer also introduced phenobarbital, Prontosil, the first widely used antibiotic and the subject of the 1939 Nobel Prize in Medicine. The antibiotics ciprofloxacin, and drosperion, birth control pills. In 2014, Bayer bought MSD's consumer business with brands such as Claritin, Coppertone, and Dr. Scholl's. Its Bayer Crop Science business develops genetically modified crops and pesticides. Its Materials Science division makes polymers like polyurethanes and polycarbonate. Bayer was founded in Barmen in 1863. It was part of IG Farben, the world's largest chemical and pharmaceutical company from 1925 to 1952, and then again became an independent company. The company played a key role in the Wunder during the early Cold War and quickly regained its position as one of the world's largest chemical and pharmaceutical corporations. Bayer acquired Schering in 2006 and announced its acquisition of Monsanto in 2016. The merger is still pending approval. Oh, so it has a link to Monsanto, which is a huge GMO company that bioengineers food and has the worst pesticides on the planet. So it basically GMOs your food and you're eating poison and toxins when you ingest the Monsanto GMO'd food. Biogen Inc. Biogen Inc., previously known as Biogen IDEC, is an American multinational biotechnology company based in Cambridge, Massachusetts, specializing in the discovery, development, and delivery of therapies for the treatment of neurodegenerative, hematologic, and autoimmune diseases to patients worldwide. Boeing. The Boeing Company is an American multinational corporation that designs, manufactures, and sells airplanes, rotorcraft, rockets, and satellites worldwide. The company also provides leasing and product support services. Boeing is among the largest global aircraft manufacturers. It is the second largest defense contractor in the world, based on 2015 revenue. and is the largest exporter in the United States by dollar value. Boeing stock is a component of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And Boeing actually plans to make the new spacecraft shuttles that will get people to Mars. By 2019, 2020, it says the future is soon at hand. And it actually did a 2.5-minute presentation about what the future would look like with flying hover cars, huge city metropolises, traveling in their spacecraft to Mars and the moon in their new shuttles. And also new airplanes, new type of airplane technology, that they would be the leading company in the future for advanced craft manufacturing. So they had their presentation, I believe it was last year, 2016, on that. It was a video, 2-minute video. So Boeing is quite aware of what the ICC does and how that works. And it says, 100 years down in the future, this is what the future will look like with us at the helm. Yeah, 100-year disclosure plan. They're just letting us know how it will look like and what they'll do and what information they're planning to release. Daimler AG is a German multinational automotive corporation. Daimler AG is headquartered in Stuttgart, Baden-Württemberg, Germany. As of 2014, Daimler owns or has shares in a number of car, bus, truck, and motorcycle brands, including Mercedes-Benz, Mercedes-AMG, Smart Automotive, Detroit Diesel, Freightliner, Western Star, Thomas Built Buses, Setra, Bahard-Benz, Mitsubishi Fuso, MV Agusta, as well as shares in Denza, Kamaz, Beijing Automotive Group. The luxury Maybach brand was terminated at the end of 2012, but revived in April 2015 as Mercedes Maybach. Versions of the Mercedes-Benz S-Class and G-Class. In 2016, Daimler sold 3.0 million vehicles. By unit sales, Daimler is the 13th largest car manufacturer and is the largest truck manufacturer in the world. In addition to automobiles, Daimler manufactures buses and provides financial services through its Daimler Financial Services arm. The company is a component of the Euro Stoxx 50 stock market index. ExxonMobil. ExxonMobil Corporation is an American multinational oil and gas corporation headquartered in Irving, Texas. It is the largest direct descendant of John D. Rockefeller's Standard Oil Company and was formed on November 30th, 1999 by the merger of Exxon, formerly Standard Oil Company of New Jersey, and Mobil, formerly the Standard Oil Company of New York. The world's 7th largest company by revenue, ExxonMobil is also the 7th largest publicly traded company by market capitalization. And ExxonMobil provides a lot of oil and gas to all over the United States and even Canada. So it's a huge oil and gas conglomerate, one of the biggest. It's still around and going strong despite all of its oil spills and not cleaning up the oil spills very well in our oceans. It's still alive and kicking because it's a major shareholder, so it gets a lot of money. General Dynamics. General Dynamics Corporation is an American aerospace and defense multinational corporation formed by mergers and divestitures. It is the world's 5th largest defense contractor based on 2012 revenues. General Dynamics is headquartered in West Falls Church, Fairfax County, Virginia. The company has changed markedly in the post-Cold War era of defense consolidation. It has four main business segments: marine systems, combat systems, information systems technology, and aerospace. General Dynamics' former Fort Worth division manufactured one of the Western world's most produced jet fighters, the F-16 Fighting Falcon, until 1993, when production was sold to Lockheed. In 1999, the company re-entered the airframe business with its purchase of Gulfstream Aerospace. So General Dynamics, huge contractor for aerospace stuff for the Moon and the Mars bases. Huge. Gilead Sciences. Gilead Sciences is an American biopharmaceutical company that discovers, develops, and commercializes therapeutics. For many years since the company was founded, the company concentrated primarily on antiviral drugs used in the treatment of HIV, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, and influenza. In 2006, Gilead acquired two companies which were developing drugs to treat patients with pulmonary diseases. The company currently produces a range of commercially available products, most notably the hepatitis C drugs, Harvoni and Sovaldi. Headquartered and founded in Foster City, California, Gilead has operations in North America, Europe, and Australia. As of the end of 2015, the company had approximately 7,900 full-time employees. Gilead is a member of the NASDAQ Biotechnology Index and the S&P 500. The company's name and logo refer to the Balm of Gilead, inspired by a 1965 play by Langford Wilson featuring the underworld adventures of the patrons of the namesake cafe. Interesting. GlaxoSmithKline. GlaxoSmithKline plc, GSK, is a British pharmaceutical company headquartered in Brentford, London. Established in 2000 by a merger of Glaxo Wellcome and SmithKline, Beecham, GSK was the world's sixth largest pharmaceutical company as of 2015, after Pfizer, Novartis, Merck, Hoffmann, La Roche, and Sanofi. Andrew Whitty has been the chief executive officer since 2008. Emma Walmsley became CEO on 31st March 2017 and is the first female CEO of the company. Okay, so they're not being sexist anymore. That's good. The company has a primary listing on the London Stock Exchange and is a constituent of the FTSE 100 index. As of August 2016, it had a market capitalization of 81 billion euro, around 107 billion. The fourth largest on the London Stock Exchange. It has a secondary listing on the New York Stock Exchange. JSK's drugs and vaccines earned 21.3 billion in 2013 in euro. Its top-selling products that year were Advair, Avodart, Flovent, Augmentin, Lovaza, and Lamictal. GSK's consumer products, which earned 5.2 billion euro in 2013, include Sensodyne and Aquafresh toothpaste, the malted milk drink Horlicks, Abreva for cold sores, Breathe Right nasal strips, Nicoderm and Nicorette, nicotine replacements, and Night Nurse, a cold remedy. The company developed the first malaria vaccine, RTS-S, which it said in 2014 it would make available for 5% above cost. Legacy products developed at GSK include several listed in the World Health Organization model list of essential medicines such as amoxicillin, mercaptopurin, pyrimethamine, and zidovudine. In 2012, GSK pleaded guilty to promotion of drugs for unapproved uses, failure to report safety data, and kickbacks to physicians in the United States, and agreed to pay a $3 billion, 1.9 billion euro settlement, the largest settlement in the country by a drug company. Interesting. J.P. Morgan Chase. J.P. Morgan Chase & Co. is a U.S. multinational banking and financial services holding company headquartered in New York City. It is the largest bank in the United States, the world's third largest bank by total assets, with total assets of roughly US $2.5 trillion, and the world's most valuable bank by market capitalization. It is a major provider of financial services, and according to Forbes magazine, is the world's sixth largest public company based upon composite ranking. The hedge fund unit of J.P. Morgan Chase is the second largest hedge fund in the United States. Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin, NYSE LMT, is an American global aerospace defense security and advanced technologies company with worldwide interests. It was formed by the merger of Lockheed Corporation with Martin Marietta in March 1995. It is headquartered in Bethesda, Maryland, in the Washington, D.C. area. Lockheed Martin employs 126,000 people worldwide. Marilyn Houston is the current president and chief executive officer. Lockheed Martin is one of the largest companies in the aerospace, defense, security, and technologies industry. It is the world's largest defense contractor based on revenue for fiscal year 2014. In 2013, 78% of Lockheed Martin's revenue came from military sales. It topped the list of U.S. federal government contractors and received nearly 10% of the funds paid out by the Pentagon. In 2009, U.S. government contracts accounted for $38.4 billion, 85%. Foreign government contracts, $5.8 billion, 13%, and commercial and other contracts for $900 million, 2%. Woo! Whoppers. That is one of the biggest contractors that the ICC uses. And Lockheed Martin is one of the largest contractors that also build advanced spacecraft that has cloaking technology that can go beyond the Mach speed barrier, so it could zip around and it could just literally disappear from airspace traffic. Nobody would notice. So the TR-3Bs and higher up, that's the kind of craft these guys make. So they get a lot of money for doing this. Lockheed Martin operates in 5 business segments: aeronautics, information systems and global solutions, missiles and fire control, rotary and mission systems, and space systems. They've also contributed to technology for the Mars bases and the infrastructure of that stuff. The company has received the Collier Trophy 6 times, including in 2001 for being part of developing the X-35, F-35B lift fan propulsion system, and most recently in 2006 for leading the team that developed the F-22 Raptor fighter jet. Lockheed Martin is currently developing the F-35 Lightning II and leads the international supply chain, leads the team for the development and implementation of technology solutions for the new USAF space fence, AFSSS replacement, and is the primary contractor for the development of the Orion spacecraft. Command module. The company also invests in healthcare systems, renewable energy systems, intelligent energy distribution, and compact nuclear fusion. So Lockheed does a lot of different experiments on various advanced craft that they develop. They play around with renewable energy systems and intelligent energy distribution. But do they ever make this stuff available to us? Not in the near future, perhaps later. NASA GPL, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, is a unique national research facility that carries out robotic space and earth science missions. GPL helped open the space age by developing America's first Earth-orbiting science satellite, creating the first successful interplanetary spacecraft, and sending robotic missions to study all the planets in the solar system, as well as asteroids, comets, and Earth's moon. In addition to its mission, GPL developed and manages NASA's Deep Space Network, a worldwide system of antennas that communicates with interplanetary spacecraft. These guys helped out to provide various communications technology for the Mars bases. GPL is a federally funded research and development center managed for NASA by Caltech. Today, GPL continues its world-leading innovation, implementing programs in planetary exploration, earth science, space-based astronomy, and technology development, while applying its capabilities to technical and scientific problems of national significance. GPL technology developed to enable new missions is also applied on Earth to benefit our everyday lives. Merck & Co. Inc. NYSE MRK DBA Merck Sharp and Dachme MSD outside the United States and Canada is an American pharmaceutical company and one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world. The company was established in 1891 as the United States subsidiary of the German company Merck, which was founded in 1668 by the Merck family. Merck & Co. was nationalized by the U.S. government during World War I and subsequently established as an independent American company in 1917. While it operates as Merck & Co. North America, the original Merck based in Darmstadt holds the rights to the Merck name everywhere else. Merck & Co. is the world's 7th largest pharmaceutical company by market capitalization and revenue. Its headquarters is located in Kenilworth, New Jersey. Merck & Co. publishes the Merck Manuals, a series of medical reference books for physicians, nurses, and technicians. These include the Merck Manual of Diagnosis and Therapy, the world's best-selling medical reference, the Merck Index, a compendium of chemical compounds, was formerly published by Merck & Co. before being acquired by the Royal Society of Chemistry in 2012. Monsanto Company is a publicly traded American multinational agrochemical and agricultural biotechnology corporation. It is headquartered in Creve Greater St. Louis, Missouri. Monsanto is a leading producer of genetically engineered GE seed and Roundup, a glyphosate-based herbicide. That is the worst type of herbicide. It has so many different toxins and neurotoxins, and it grows wheat products, grain. It helps to grow it better and to prevent it from being eaten by pests like locusts. So, it goes to the grain and the wheat, and then we eat the grain and the wheat, and we have the herbicide in our autoimmune system and in our nervous system and in our blood. And basically, we get neurological problems, brain damage, Alzheimer's, cancer, you name it, it gives it to you. Blech. Notable achievements by Monsanto include research on catalytic, asymmetric hydrogenation and the first mass-produced light-emitting diodes LEDs, in addition to its work on genetic engineering. Monsanto was one of 4 groups to introduce genes into plants in 1983 and was among the first to conduct field trials of genetically modified crops in 1987. It was one of the top 10 U.S. chemical companies until it divested most of its chemical businesses between 1997 and 2002 through a process of mergers and spin-offs that focused the company on biotechnology. Monsanto was one of the first companies to apply the biotechnology industry business model to agriculture using techniques developed by biotech drug companies. In this business model, companies recoup R&D expenses by exploiting biological patents. Monsanto's roles in agricultural changes, biotechnology products, and lobbying of government agencies and roots as a chemical company have surrounded the company in controversies. The company once manufactured controversial products such as the insecticide DDT, PCBs, Agent Orange, and recombinant bovine growth hormone. Its seeds patenting model was criticized as biopiracy, and a threat to biodiversity. In September 2016, Monsanto agreed to accept Bayer's offer to purchase the company for $66 billion. 128 share pending regulatory approval. So Monsanto is a big culprit in genetically modified food. And Europe actually, some countries in Europe like Russia and other countries have banned GMOs and have banned Monsanto from their countries. So, agricultural products and crops are not poisoned by GMO and Monsanto's toxicity. Because, some countries don't want their citizens dying. So it's best to stay away from GMO and don't buy anything that's Monsanto. It'll poison you slowly and kill you and give you cancer. Kroger. The Kroger Company, or simply Kroger, is an American retailing company founded by Bernard Kroger in 1883 in Cincinnati, Ohio. It is the United States' largest supermarket chain by revenue. $109.83 billion for fiscal year 2016, the second largest general retailer behind Walmart, and the 23rd largest company in the United States. Kroger is also the third largest retailer in the world. As of December 2015, Kroger operates either directly or through its subsidiaries 2,778 supermarkets and multi-department stores. Kroger's headquarters are in downtown Cincinnati. It maintains markets in 34 states with store formats that include supermarkets, superstores, department stores, 786 convenience stores, and 326 jewelry stores. Kroger-branded grocery stores are located in the Midwestern and Southwestern United States. Kroger operates 37 food processing or manufacturing facilities, 1,360 supermarket fuel centers, and 2,122 pharmacies. Kroger's employees are mostly represented by collective bargaining agreements union employees, and many are represented by the United Food and Commercial Workers UFCW union. Pfizer Inc. is an American global pharmaceutical corporation headquartered in New York City, with its research headquarters in Groton, Connecticut. It is among the world's largest pharmaceutical companies. It is listed on the New York Stock Exchange, and its shares have been a component of the Dow Jones Industrial Average since 2004. Pfizer develops and produces medicines and vaccines for a wide range of medical disciplines, including immunology, oncology, cardiology, diabetology, endocrinology, and neurology. Its products include the blockbuster drug Lipitor, atorvastatin, used to lower LDL blood cholesterol, Lyrica, Pregabalin for neuropathic pain, fibromyalgia, Diflucan, fluconazole, an oral antifungal medication, Zithromax, azithromycin, an antibiotic, Viagra, sildenafil for erectile dysfunction, and Celebrex, Celacoxib, an anti-inflammatory drug. Pfizer was founded in 1849 by cousins Charles Pfizer and Charles F. Urquhart in New York City as a manufacturer of fine chemicals. Its discovery of terramycin oxytetracycline in 1950 put it on a path towards becoming a research-based pharmaceutical company. It has made numerous acquisitions, including Warner Lambert in 2000, Pharmacia in 2003, and Wyeth in 2009, the largest of the three at $68 billion. In 2016, Pfizer Inc. was expected to merge with Allergan plc in a deal that would have been worth $160 billion to create the Ireland-based Pfizer plc. The merger was called off in April 2016 due to recent new rules from the United States Treasury against inversions. RAND Corporation Research and Development is an American nonprofit global policy think tank originally formed by Douglas Aircraft Company to offer research and analysis to the United States Armed Forces. It is financed by the U.S. government and private endowment corporations, including the healthcare industry, universities, and private individuals. The organization has expanded to work with other governments, private foundations, international organizations, and commercial organizations on a host of non-defense issues. RAND aims for interdisciplinary and quantitative problem solving via translating theoretical concepts from formal economics and the physical sciences into novel applications in other areas, that is, via applied science and operations research. Now, the RAND Corporation is one of the biggest ICC shareholders, stock shareholders. It's huge. And it's a think tank that's employed by universities, healthcare industry, private endowment, various business corporations, private foundations, international organizations, and also commercial organizations. So, it's huge. It's huge. It's everywhere. And it was created by the Douglas Aircraft Company. So, that says something. Siemens AG is a German conglomerate company headquartered in Berlin and Munich, and the largest manufacturing and electronics company in Europe, with branch offices abroad. The principal divisions of the company are industry, energy, healthcare, and infrastructure in cities, which represent the main activities of the company. The company is a prominent maker of medical diagnostics equipment and its medical healthcare division, which generates about 12% of the company's total sales, is its second most profitable unit after the industrial automation division. The company is a component of the Eurostoxx 50 stock market index. Siemens and its subsidiaries employ approximately 332,000 people worldwide and reported global revenue of around 75.6 billion euro in 2015, according to their annual report. The von Siemens family remained the largest shareholder with a stake of 6.9%. Syngenta. Syngenta AG is a global Swiss agribusiness that produces agrochemicals and seeds. As a biotechnology company, it conducts genomic research. It was formed in 2000 by the merger of Novartis Agribusiness and Seneca Agrochemicals. As of 2014, Syngenta was the world's largest crop chemical producer, strongest in Europe. As of 2009, it ranked third in seeds and biotechnology sales. Sales in 2015 were approximately $13.4 billion US, over half of which were in emerging markets. International regulators have approved the firm's acquisition by ChemChina, a Chinese state-owned enterprise. In 2004, Syngenta Seeds purchased Garst, the North American corn and soybean business of Advanta, as well as Golden Harvest Seeds. On 5th December 2014, the European Union ended its 6-year moratorium when it approved imports of 2 varieties of genetically modified corn sold by Monsanto and its Swiss rival Syngenta. In 2005, Syngenta opposed a Swiss ban on genetically engineered organisms. On 28 November 2005, Switzerland enacted a 5-year ban on the farming of genetically modified crops, underscoring the problems facing the European Commission and biotech companies like Syngenta, Bayer, and Monsanto as they try to overcome consumer doubts about safety. As of 2014, Syngenta's main competitors are Monsanto Company, BASF, Dow AgroSciences, Bayer, Crop Science, and DuPont Pioneer. In 2014, Monsanto sought to acquire Syngenta for a reported $40 billion, but Syngenta rejected the offer. Since April 2015, Monsanto and Syngenta had been working with their investment banks Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs respectively on a deal. The U.S. Treasury tried to stop the deal for tax inversion. Syngenta's board of directors rejected an even better offer by Monsanto during August 2015. And Monsanto withdrew from the negotiations on 26 August. Talanx is a German insurance company based in Hanover, specializing in provision of business-to-business insurance. As of 2016, it is a constituent of the MDAX trading index of German mid-cap companies. So this is basically the list of the ICC shareholder companies and various contractors that I remember from the various ICC databases that I was looking at when I was stationed on the ICC Mars bases. And I actually remember entering information about these various ICC shareholder companies and contractors, where these companies are, what they do, what they specialize in for the ICC. I remember doing that data entry in the ICC databases. And I've retained this information in my mind. And it took me a couple of weeks to put this huge list together and to look into the Wernher Von Braun stuff, into his proposal concepts of the space station platforms, because those concepts were actually, those blueprints were used to build the ICC Mars Orbital space station platforms, those 4 space station platforms that orbit around Mars and are cloaked. So the secret space programs, the ICC, the military-industrial complex, they wanted Wernher Von Braun's information, and he was a smart scientist, so that's why they got him during the Paperclip project. They wanted him to work for NASA. They wanted him on their team. They wanted him as the director of NASA, because he was brilliant and he was smart. He actually knew what the German Third and Fourth Reich were working on. He knew about the Bellcraft. So he knew about the honeyboos, and he was a smart man. So they wanted to use him in the military-industrial complex at NASA to basically design these blueprints for the orbital space station platforms and to create future Mars missions and the shuttles for it, and then just make him obscure and obsolete. He was never acknowledged as taking the credit for these space station platforms because they're secret, yet he was the major contributor to this work. And he played a crucial part in the secret space program. He was actually the one, Wernher Von Braun was the one that said, "There is a warning in my message. There will be space wars. The next future is in outer space. There will be development of outer space. There will be space wars. There's space weapons out there in bases and as such. So that's the next frontier, out in space." So he was right when he said that. The next frontier was out in space on the Mars and the Moon bases that the SSP and the ICC has. So Wernher Von Braun was a huge contributor to the SSP, to NASA, to the Mars missions. His were their original blueprints that launched literally 1,000 ships out in space. And some space stations. So I just wanted to share some of that information, and you know, I think it's interesting bit of history and what these corporations are and who they work for. And this is just coming from my memory. So it's what I remember. And this is a disclaimer. I'm not accusing any of these companies of anything. It's just what was in my memory. And I think it needed to be disclosed, so it has. And again, there it is. So thank you and namaste.